What's up, y'all? It's your boy, Knees Baby 84, with the Daily Drive. Except for I'm at the house right now. I just got home, actually. I was just driving. It's Saturday, April 25th, 2026. I think it's 26. Man, I tell you what, man, my days just roll together. Especially I had a few long days on the road these last couple of days. Spent up in Gainesville. A little difficult, but still worthwhile. Fun, definitely had a lot of fun. But it's about it's midnight, and my heart is full right now. I went to a birthday party for a regular of mine. I haven't seen in a few months, not since my being fired from my last job, my leaving, and but it was good. I got to see a lot of old faces. Came in swinging, quick jokes like I know people want. You know what I mean? And good laughs, great hugs. Good conversation, good catch up. Good affirmations. You know, and people that over the last 18 months have really come to, you know, place in my heart as people that I do care about, people that I love. I love to see them. I love to hear their stories and laugh with them and joke with them and cry with them. And it was a great time. It was a great time, and my regular, he didn't know, he wasn't sure if I was going to come. And don't get me wrong, it is hard. Um, you know, one thing about hospitality, bartending out here in the villages, you really do create bonds and rapport with people. And in doing so, the boundary lines of personal life and work life, they become a little gray, a little muddied. I mean, I'd say 90% of the time it's an okay thing. It's great. You know, Good relationships, go out to eat. Go out for some drinks, and have some good camaraderie. Go to their houses. They invite you over for their shindigs, and um, whatever the case may be. And introduce you to their daughters. You date their daughters. It's happened a couple times now. Which that's really where those boundaries kind of, you know. But more importantly, tonight was awesome, and I really it was a rough week mentally, um, but yeah, mentally, emotionally, just because last week I went hard with the driving, did what I needed. There was some heavy work to be done on the house down in Webster. And I love being a part of that, being with the guys from church, helping build a pastor's house. And my goal is to at least give a day a week, and in the beginning of the week is the best time because I know I'm going for heavy lifting and for the heavy duty jobs, so I supplement the workout. So at least I get my workouts an all day thing. I know I'm burning through calories. Saying I'm lifting, so I'm getting a maintenance, feel there. And it's the beginning of the week because if I'm really going to hit the road, it'll be towards the end of the week. And depending on how I schedule my week, if I got some things to do, like I did this week, Tuesday was work down in Webster all day. Wednesday, I fixed the fence in the morning. Afterwards, I was like, well, I just went ahead and had a me afternoon, chilled, because I knew I was going to be on the road all day Thursday and all day Friday. I wasn't sure how today was going to pan out just because my goal was to be home by midnight every night, to get up to Gainesville early and then be back early. So Thursday, for the most part, that worked, right? I got up to Gainesville 11:30 and instantly started making money. 3-4 hours in, things die off a little bit, kicked it for a while, and then later in the evening, it got back to it, and I made my quota, my couple $100. Friday, but it was still hard because I kind of wanted to be home a little earlier than midnight on Thursday night, because it's an hour drive, and it's difficult because I'm constantly busy up there with fairs, but I got an hour drive, and it's like, all right, well, do I leave now or just bang out another hour or two, see if I can't make, and then it depends. It really depends. You hit those hot spots, especially, everything slows down once you get everybody from their houses or apartments to where the party's at, right? Or where the bars are, where everybody, the main hubs, And then it dies out, and then boom, but everybody's ready to go back home a couple hours later. So then it's like, oh, I'm back to it. And, the fares are better. Your surcharges, your turbo zones or whatnot, you're getting bigger fares, so it's easier to make that quota quicker. And it's a struggle because it's like, well, if I get home early, I can still maximize the morning better, and if I decided, you know what, damn, I don't feel like driving to Gainesville, I can still be home and be up early and getting things done in my market down here, South Marion, Sumter, and Lake County. And so Friday, a little rough. I didn't get to bed, though, till probably like 2, and that's the thing. It's like trying to fall asleep. I don't fall asleep much. My caffeine-free Coke Zero here. Coke Zero during the day, caffeine-free at night. But, so that set me back Friday. And then Friday, I didn't get home till 3 o'clock in the morning because I was like, well, if I can just make what I need. And Friday was a weird day. I made a quick, $80 the first, 2-3 hours I was there. And then, it died out real quick. And so I kind of spent a lot of downtime Friday afternoon and picked up a couple fares in between. But I really didn't get back to it till like 8 o'clock at night. So there was like a 2-3 hour window where it was like, I found myself sitting, reading. I was watching a couple sermons online. But when those night hits, then we were rolling, And so I just went ahead and went with it because today was my regular's birthday party. And, there was some work to be done, some trench digging that needed doing this weekend. And no matter what, I had to be on the road. I was trying to figure out, obviously, Friday or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but then I needed to make the party. That was what was important to me this week. And, no matter what, on the days that we're trenching at the house, I needed to be on the road anyways. And I needed to get the weekend started heavy so I could have today, Saturday, to myself to make this party, And then I still, it was rough. I did, I got home 3 o'clock in the morning, maybe fell asleep in an hour, but then I was up at like 7:30, 8 o'clock, just like doom scrolling in bed. And then finally came out to the couch and I was like, well, let me just eat. So I made a big old breakfast, my egg whites, ground beef, spinach, a couple slices of potato bread, and orange juice. But I was just like, man, I couldn't sleep. And of course, on the way home, I was like tired. I was out of my Coke. I usually have at least 1 can of Coke Zero, or I keep 1 caffeine free for the late night home. But this thing is, it's like I stopped at Circle K and picked up the XL fucking fountain drink because, it's 80 cents, so I might as well get the biggest one. And there's no caffeine free on the fountain, so I get Coke Zero, and I drank half of it on the way home, which was probably why I got no sleep. So it was like, I'm like, all day I've been like, but finally got up, set the alarm, got a few hours of sleep in the afternoon, and then I figured, you know what, I'll be fashionably late. That's how I roll. 30 minutes should do. And I was like, well, let me stop at the car wash on the way. Threw on the apps. I said, if I can make a couple bucks to get to the car wash, even better. Sure enough, I turned on the 301 about a mile in. Bam, I get somebody taking me back to the pool bar by Nancy Lopez on Buena Vista. And man, it was great. Worked out. It was only really like maybe like a $9. No, it was. I don't know. It was like a $10 fare. I was like, oh, that's perfect. You know what I mean? I'll circle around, grab him, then hit the car wash. Dude was having a great day, man. He tipped me $20. I was like, all right, I'll take a $35 start to the day there. Just for driving to the car wash because I sat for like 5-6 minutes. He was a little drunk, trying to get him in the car and everything. And then he couldn't find me first, so I sat on the wrong side. But circled around, got to the car wash, and then got a fare that was out by the interstate, which it technically was. If I wasn't, it wasn't a great fare, but I was like, well, I'm going south, and even though it takes me like west and not east, at least I'll get some money going south at some point. You know what I mean? So I'm still making up miles. I'm justifying things in my head. Pick up these boys, take them back across town, but drop off was like 5 minutes from where the party was, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. You know what I mean? God worked out, easy peasy. Dropped off the boys at Hooters, stopped at Publix to take a leak, and then I was like, you know what? Let me run to this liquor store, get a nice bottle of rum because I know my man's like some rum. So, I had a budget, but I got, a good one within the budget. And, yeah, man, showed up to the birthday party, and it was arms wide open, bro. Like, it was good. Like, all the smiles, all the faces. Like I said, I came in with the quick 1-2. Saw Wayne. I was like, was the new one that I got. Why do Jews love doing circumcision so much? Because they get to keep the tip, right? So I hit it with that one real quick. And it was just great. It was really great. Everybody seeing how I'm doing, and it's the love and support from the people who, you've really like put in work and effort for behind the bar here. And, these people that definitely take care of you. I'm going to be on vacation 2 weeks, man. 2 fucking weeks. Like, I'm so close. I'm so close. This has been 2 weeks. It's the only goal that I've had in the last 3 months is to make it to vacation, to make it to my timeshare up in Panama City Beach. And listen, that was a gift from my regulars, and this goes back to the boundaries that we have with the people that we take care of and we service on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a seasonal basis, the people that we really maximum effort for, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've taken a lot from, top dog bartender in the Villages over at Bluefin. Like, I learned a lot from him. We bumped heads, we had different styles. I was coming from New York City, which is a very different game than it is down here. But, once I watched him, once I saw, one, how he managed his bar, and then two, what he did for his people outside of the bar, now that's where it got difficult because, yes, I would meet up with people, go out with people, go to their house, and so on and so forth. But, like, you still have to manage the expectations because, you're getting invited everywhere. And, you do have to at least show face. These are the people that pay your bills. These are the people that take care of you the most. You know what I'm saying? And you want to show face. You want to show it's a sign of an appreciation. Be like, you won. In all of it, you've extended the invites. Whatever the case may be, and yeah, for the most part, you'll probably flake because you just have a life outside of work. And that doesn't usually involve hanging out at all. I've got my entire routine outside of working, and I don't break my routine for nothing. Okay, work down in Webster, sure, but like my routine is the only thing that keeps me legit. You know what I mean? In fact, it's the reason why I'm 16 months sober and getting stronger every minute. You know what I'm saying? Like, routine, discipline, keeping the consistency, being determined to do it and persevering, and Romans 5:3, man, says, for we rejoice in our suffering because our suffering produces perseverance, character, and character hope, and hope does not disappoint us because God has shed out his blood into our hearts through the Holy Spirit. I mean, we all have suffering. The world has suffering. We all go through our highs and our lows, our valleys, our seasons, however it's presented. But it's in the midst of all that, we have to look to God and thank Him for everything we do have, even the suffering, because we will be tried. We will have our testing, our refiner's fire. Our God is a consuming fire, and to mold us like the potter's clay, we need to be heated. We need to go through these trials. To strengthen our relationships with God and to strengthen our faith, to be reminded that no, He's got it, to let go and let God. And it's a constant battle. We are battling the flesh day in, day out, day in and day out. Especially I do. I've battled it my whole life. And but nights like tonight, man, are the blessings, man. I had to be there, and I'm so happy I went. It's like, it's not only the faces and the camaraderie, but like even the sense of like, oh, one of my regulars is toasted. So, banding together with my other regular. All right, I'm going to drive his car. I was like, I am the sober one here. I can be your DD. So I put him in his car. I drove his car. My other regular grabbed his golf cart. We were, I don't know, a couple miles away, 2-3 miles away. And then got him in the house. He was done. But, and it's just that there's this little sense of family there, and I love it, and going back to the boundaries for a second, it's hard because we're not retired people, we're still workforce. Everybody's got our bills to pay, but we got shit to do at our age bracket, and we're not in a position to consistently hang and so on and so forth. And knowing those boundaries can be difficult at times. When I was drinking, found myself a lot, especially in the first couple of years of being back here. I was always out drinking, whatever. I got the truck, all that ended, stopped going out, stopped spending money, and all that extra money went into my pocket and into the truck. So, one bird, two stones. No, one stone, two birds kind of scenario, whatever. And, in the past, I found myself connecting to groups, call it my traumas, from my childhood, parental traumas, growing up in, a household that that wasn't producing, outside of the foundation that was set by my grandfather and my grandmother. We had them, and so it's hard, man. We come into adulthood and you're looking for place in circles all the time, especially when you've come from without, and you've come from the pariah feeling, the black sheep feeling, the outcast feeling, what I'm saying? Especially when you kind of run on your own course your entire life, Growing up, we had our clique, what I'm saying? We had the homies, that we always rolled together with. Whatever we did, we were always together. But as an adult, I went and found my family in New York. The people that we all kind of got there at the same time. Or the ones that were already there that we just, banded together. Going out together, the support together, supporting their music and the concerts that they were singing and performing at. My diplomas, my graduations, award ceremonies, then them showing for you, and we have that bond, and that's the bond right now that it's the bond that I created with my friends in New York that gave me the bonds to say, oh no, these are going to be the everlasting relationships that more than anybody else, even though they're few and far between, I'll have communication with. Unlike, my friend base from here, everybody had their lives and I left, and it's like from the family being, what's the word when you're estranged? I mean, yeah, sure, I visited every year, but I'm gone, so estrangement, not being around the family and like I was when I was growing up. So where was I? The boundaries, that's where I was. And with my last relationship from a year ago, I had something that I attached to, people that I really held dear to my heart, and I don't want to say that past tense because in truth, I love them all. Like, I'd still do anything for them if they're, honestly, if they called and said they needed me, I'd be there. Because for one, I'm the motherfucker who shows up, and two, I love them. Like, they are still people, as I would say, that I held dearest to my heart, and but everything got, modeled, muddied, gray, when I was dating their daughter, and just a bad scenario. I knew better. I should have dropped it from the beginning, but I got drugged through a trench. And in the end, I lost an entire group of people that I really love, and, don't get me wrong, I cursed everybody out, and found myself in a situation where, I just felt bad, kind of give your all in the wrong place, and so back to my heart being full. So let's get out of the dark mode there for a second. Navigating the waters of boundaries between regulars and bar life is difficult, but tonight was a night that I knew I needed to be there for, and I made it a point. This entire week was rearranged to make tonight's birthday party, and I couldn't be happier. My heart is like, it really is overflowing, and I'm so happy the Lord gave me this, and it feels great. It really does. It really does. And I'll tell you right now, for everything that is going on in my life, there is nothing about it that I'll hide. Truth, everything I tell people. That's something about me, man. I usually, I'm kind of like an open book, like whatever, especially when I know I'm not, I may be in the wrong in some aspects, but the overall picture that's going on in my life right now, listen, I'll tell you everything. I'll tell you everything verbatim, vulgarities. I'll be candid. This is what happened. This doesn't necessarily paint me in a good light, but there's a truth that's out there, and it's not what most people are being said or being told. And the fact is you get a lot of people who just know who you are, man. Like, look, I am one of the top bartenders in my village, in the villages in my area. Like, there's 4 to 5 above me, and I did that in the short time that I've been back in Florida. In just 5 years. People have been working on that their entire lives out here, and I think that one that goes, I'll brush my shoulders off real quick. I'm good at what I do. Am I the greatest? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's so many greater minds out there, creativity out there, you know what I mean? But I know that what I produce is top notch for what I produce, you know what I mean? And it's hard pressed to find a bartender as good as I am in this area, Like I said, there's 4 or 5 that are above me here. And they've been at it for years, you know what I'm saying? But I learned from them, And because of that, because of my rapport building, the relationship that I built with people, the vacations together, the going out together, the invitations to places, to their homes, and being a part of their lives, people know who I am. And tonight was a reaffirmation of all of that. You know what I'm saying? Because, well, God is good. I mean, I think there's that gift of service that I've definitely had from him, and I've definitely put that to good use. I think there's some things that I've squandered, which is why I'm in my position now. There's just some thoughts that I'm rolling over up here that are constantly moving, and I'm trying to understand where it is that understand for sure, but like overall, I know, in my walk with Christ where I failed, and I think God was like, hey, bro, you haven't been listening to me, man, so let's tighten up. So, and honestly, it's been good, you know what I mean? Marketing with these people that you build these relationships with, because they will be the people who support all your ideas. They will, and sometimes you forget that because I'm so busy, like, trying to keep boundaries that, I'm like, well, if I, or doubt, you know what I mean? Will this really work? But man, like tonight, what are you doing? All right, I'm driving full time, Uber Lyft, trying to start the airport transport. Telling everybody these are my fees. I just got to get these magnets and business cards made up, but I got to make the money to put to the side because I am on a no spend limit. You know what I mean? So I feel like I got everything up on the computer, got my designs down. I'm just trying to fit the wording in a little bit on the magnet, and then I got to do the business cards. But like, I still got to wait to bring the money in to do it because I really can't tap into my savings anymore. Like, I know that there's an investment, and I've been thinking, okay, sure, I could take, another couple $100, but like, I really want to try to replenish some of my savings before I take any more out of it, especially having to pay my truck bill. But like, instantly they're like, yes, when I mentioned the magnets, they were like, let me know. They're like, how are we gonna get your stuff from you when you get your cards? And I'm like, well, I was like, I'm gonna start coming around and seeing everybody at the bars. I'll be calling people and coming to find people and whatnot. But it's that market, you know what I mean? And just like my sister's a realtor, she sends her people to me. I send her people. You know what I mean? It's a liquid flowing network, and it's one that's utilizable. My dilemma is my constant desire to leave, to run, to not be here, and it's hard because on one hand, I can't say I love it. And mostly I know on these videos I'll say I hate it because I do. In a way, it's been growing on me as an adult. And I'm actually a really good adult out here. Like, I was a boy, young, dumb, and you already know. Footloose and fancy free, causing all sorts of problems. And usually I was just drunk driving. Do have a gun charge, you know what I'm saying? That's all, but that's been all justified. Defense was on my side, Well, the girlfriend of the guy that I pulled it on, because he was getting super racist with my black homie. And, I was trashed, but he wanted some, and I was like, let's take care of this in the middle of a Denny's, no less. That's the story for another day. But yeah, man, it's difficult because I can't say I love it here. And as much as I can see myself continuing life out here, but I just feel like if I stay here, then I'm really stuck forever, and I'm never going to get back out and see other things. My decision to move to New York City was the best decision I've ever made in my entire life. I became the most successful I have ever been in my industry. I worked at the hottest spots, the top locations, rooftops, clubs, bars, restaurants. Had a great time, you know what I mean? Out there hustling, gummies, flour. I had my cleaning service, boy, I was a good New Yorker, bro. I'm still a solid motherfucking New Yorker, dog. But it taught me a lot. Went to school, 5 years of college, 2 diplomas, both with honors, cum laude on my bachelor's, my minor in history, you know what I'm saying? Your boy thugged out, bro. Your boy moved to New York, and New York made him a man, I found God again in New York City. I recommitted while I was up there, and that definitely drove a lot of success towards the end before COVID. But I don't know, it's hard, once you get out of this place and you see that there's a world outside of this area, it's like, oh shit, and comparisons are hard these days, especially in modern times with our Instagram, Facebook. Everybody's lives are plastered all over the internet, and influencers, and listen, not all of it's lies, but not all of it's true, and we get caught up looking at it. On this fitness journey alone, I had to filter through all the bullshit that's online on YouTube and remind myself that I'm a 40-year-old man getting sober, 60 pounds overweight, you know what I'm saying? And filtering all the BS, understanding where I really am. What these, most of these guys are all jacked up on fucking roids and shit. I'm all fucking natty up in here trying to do this. But you find the right things, then, took a year course, YouTube University on health and nutrition and fitness, man. Found the right ones, stuck with them, Science Pro based. I already mentioned it in other videos, but, the routines, reestablishing routines in my life and just trying to understand what it is that I want. That's what's hard. That's what's hard because my family's here. I love them. That's one of the reasons why it was so hard to leave in the beginning when I left for New York. And I was all the better for it. And I think I have to remind myself of that. And man, I'm tired. And there's so much more to talk about, but I guess that'll do for now. We're gonna leave this on a high note. My heart, to reiterate, in conclusion, your boy has a full heart. It's overflowing. Got to see a lot of faces I miss, I love. I felt their love, the hugs. I'm such a hugger. I got my homegirl, my bestie. She hates hugs, but she gives me hugs. I'm a hugger. I got people, especially at a church. I got some of them. They're like, careful, don't hug me too tight, because I'm a hug you. I'm gonna let you know that I love doing this. And feeling those hugs, I do love attention. We love attention. Come on, everybody loves a little attention. So when I walk in and it's like, yeah, hello, yeah. But my heart's full, man, and I did it. I got there. That was the point. Like I said, rearranged the whole week, and I'm just trying to trust in God with everything else. But it's been a great night. Had an amazing time at this birthday party. A booby cake with lace lingerie on it, hips and boobs with little chocolate Hershey's as the nipples. It was great. And it's great because I had a regular bring me a booby cake for my birthday last year. It was a spiced cake with 2 nice voluptuous round whipped topping boobies. It was awesome. So birthday party was amazing. God is good. He really is. And I hope everybody else is having a great night.